Hello everyone, I'm Nathan with the ebookreader.com. For this video, we're going to talk about the Onyx Note Pro. So this is Onyx's new 10.3-inch e-reader. They added a Frontlit to this model. It's also got twice as much storage space and RAM as the previous version with 64 gigabytes and 4 gigabytes. Like the previous Note, this model has a Wacom touchscreen, comes with a stylus for writing notes on the screen, but they added a flush glass screen to the Pro version. It does work quite well, and the contrast is actually better than using the screen protector on the previous model. Here's kind of a quick look at it compared to the Nova Pro, which is like 90% the same, but it's got a smaller 7.8-inch screen. I really do like these 10.3-inch screens. They're really nice for reading PDFs especially. So the overall design remains pretty much the same as the original Note, but they got the flush glass screen added over the front. You still got the back button below the screen. Also, you can turn the front line on and off by holding it. On the back, you do got a couple of speakers. They do not sound very good at all. Got the USB-C port on the lower edge. It's fairly thin and lightweight for its size. It is pretty comfortable to hold. The bezels are pretty small along the side, though. Kind of easy to accidentally touch the screen. So you got the front light on this model. That's the biggest change. It has also got the color adjusting front light. So you got the orange light and you got the cool light. You can blend them together. You can just turn one off, one on. You can also sync the two lights so you can kind of get a mix of the two colors. Front light does make a big difference. I really like having it on here. Here it is compared to the original Note without the front light. So this is just in a well-lit room even. It just helps having the light kind of make the background a little bit wider. And then, of course, you can control the color as well with this model. I was a bit skeptical about the glass screen at first, but it actually does work quite well. The writing does feel pretty natural on it. It is a little bit slicker than writing on paper, but you do get used to it. You don't have to worry about any scratches or flecks. With the glass screen, it has better build quality than the original Note, so I actually like it. I'll show the Note app in depth more shortly. You can also write notes directly on PDF files. You can use the tip to erase as well. If you don't want to use the end of the pen to erase, there's a button on the pen you can hold down to trigger the eraser, which I find faster and more convenient than flipping the stylus around all the time. So you got some different options when it comes to writing notes on PDFs than when you're using the Note app. You can open up this menu here. You got some different line thickness options. You got the pressure sensitive pen, the non-pressure sensitive pen. So it depends on how hard you're pressing down, how thick the lines will be. So all these notes and stuff are easily exportable. You can save it to a separate PDF file, and then you can access it on other computers. So you got some different eraser options in here. You got the different shapes that you can insert. You've also got some different colors to choose from. So it uses the black by default. You got some other pen choices. You can switch over to white if you're writing on something dark. You also got red, green, and blue. Obviously, the latter three aren't going to show up on the e-ink screen. But then once you export the file, you'll have those colors on your colored devices. There's also an option called Side Note where you can have the notes on the side, separate document to your notes. You can view it in landscape mode. I'll show that a bit later. You got the undo, the redo. You can save your document, and of course, like I said, you can export these as well. So down here on the lower edge, you got this thing that shows your table of contents. It shows all your notes and highlights as well. So anytime you scribble on a page, it'll save a thumbnail so you can easily find it and jump back to it that way. Let's go ahead and talk about the built-in Note app. So you are going to be pretty much limited to the built-in Note app because if you use third-party Android apps, there's too much lag. But the Note app does work quite well. You got some different syncing options right here if you want to export your notes easily to like Evernote or Dropbox. So that's definitely a plus. They got this new dark theme, which I've been using lately. I kind of like it. And you can also switch to these other templates. They come preloaded on here. You can also add your own templates, so it'll show up in that local section there. And then this dark theme or this dark template was in the cloud section there. It does have a bit more ghosting when you're using the black backgrounds. You can see the menu item still right there, but you can use the refresh button. You can switch the menu on the right side, or you can go full screen if you want. You can easily rename your notes up here just by selecting that entry there, and then you can also easily switch between the different notes. You've got the option to rest your hand on the screen, so that people are always asking about that. It's never been an issue with these Wacom touchscreens. You can easily rest your hand on the screen. It doesn't cause any issue. You can also turn off the capacitive screen entirely if you want to. You can also add typed text with the Note app here, and you've got the option to add pages with the plus sign up there. Then you've got the multi-page view, so you can view multiple pages at once. So let's go ahead and test this text conversion feature that they added with this last update. So if you type or you write your text on the screen, and then it'll go ahead and convert them to typed text. But it does some weird stuff with spacing. As you can see, the sentence with no spaces, it actually put the spaces in the correct spots. But then it did some weird spacing with the other things. I don't know why it even put feature at that top part, because that was the last word. And then it thought hand was banned, but you know, it's kind of a hit or miss type of thing. Like I said, you have the different colored stylus tips, but they aren't going to show up when you're using this device, of course. But then once you export it, here's a cool thing you can do with the export. You can use the share option, and then it'll generate these QR codes. And then you can take like another device, like your phone or tablet, and just use the camera to look at the QR code, and then you get the option to easily export your document that way. So here you go. You can just quickly view it on your other device using the sharing option. All right, so here's a look at the home screen. It'll just automatically default to your library list. You can choose to view list view or cover view. You've got a few different sorting options. If you hold down on the title, it'll bring up some more options. You can open up your documents with different apps if you have installed on here. The eReader app is the default app, which I'm showing right here. So like with your PDF files, you have various zoom levels, which is nice. You can easily get rid of the margins to view the page in full view. There's also reflow on these devices. You can adjust the contrast. I might show a more in-depth PDF review later, but this is just sort of an overview of some of the features. With eReader 3.0 here, it's got a different sort of layout when you've got the zoom set in here. So naturally, it'll just write on the screen with the stylus, or you can turn off the stylus and use the stylus to like select text. You can pan around the screen here if you turn on the panning mode. Otherwise, it'll just, if you have the panning mode turned off, it'll just page forward. You can page forward using those on-screen arrows as well. The page turns do work pretty quick with this app. Again, you can hold down on words to bring up the dictionary. You can add notes and highlights. They have various underlining options for annotating here. You got some dotted lines, like solid line. Again, when you write on the screen, with the stylus, it'll write up by default, but you can disable the pen. Then you can use the stylus for other things like you would with your finger. You can hold down on words. You can use it to make select text. It's a little bit more accurate. You can easily drag the end points and the start points to get exactly how you want it to work there. And again, they got the different options for your underlines and your highlights. You got 2 different colors to choose from. And again, all this stuff is easily exportable, so that's definitely a plus. Up here, you've got the option to switch between 4 tabs at once, so you can have up to 4 documents open. You can easily jump between them using the tab view up here. You can also turn the tab view off if you don't want to use it. So with the eBook app, you got the usual different font sizes. You can sideload your own fonts on here. There are some different like boldness and contrast settings, so you can make the text and images appear darker. You can switch over to landscape mode, so you can switch the direction any way you want. You've also got the 2-page mode, so if you wanted to view 2 pages at once in landscape mode, you got that option with this newer firmware here. You've also got the side note with ebooks and PDFs. You can have the separate note document open next to your book or PDF document, and then the side note, it'll get tied to your book, and then you've got your notes attached to it. You can have multiple pages. The Onyx Note Pro also has the option to use text-to-speech, so it has like a default, couple different options built in here. You can use other ones as well. The scales of their mail were white with hoarfrost. Their helmets and their axes were covered with ice. Snow sprinkled their locks. In their beards were spikes. The built-in speakers on the Note Pro don't sound very good at all. They're not very loud, but it does have Bluetooth, so you can connect Bluetooth speakers or headphones to listen to text-to-speech or audio that way. It supports music files as well. So you got the multi-page view with the eBook app. It looks kind of strange in landscape mode. Look, you've got the arrows here. You can jump to different chapters. This book only has the 1 chapter. And then you've also got the page dial. You can jump around, and then it has the history, so it'll save where you were before in the book. You can jump back and forth to previous locations, and you got the page jump dial. So, you know, it's got a pretty good ebook app on here. I do like the eReader app. It's a little bit more buggy with the 3.0 version than it was with the 2.0 version, but you got some new features now. You got the 2-page mode. You can also do the notes when you're in landscape mode like that as well. You got the apps on here. So this device runs Android 6.0. You can enable the Google Play Store. I don't have it enabled on here. I find it just a nuisance. You got this other app store on here. It's got some ink apps, like I installed the Kindle app. The Kindle app does work quite well. So I had some issues with the page turn not working well with the previous version, but it works great on here. So this little icon in the bottom corner here is the new navigation ball that they added. You can have this enabled, and then it makes it a lot easier to like do the app optimized settings, because you can run the app and then change the settings and make the text appear a lot darker, because naturally it would be really light. Basically, if you're going to use third-party apps on this device, you're going to have to take some time to optimize things, because it's just not, these apps aren't designed to work with e-ink screens, but they do work well enough sometimes once you get the optimized settings working here. So like everything seems to work well with the Kindle app. One thing about that though is when you're adjusting the contrast, which is nice to make the text really dark, also makes images really dark. Like with this comic here, it totally goes almost total blackout when you got the contrast cranked up. So you just kind of play with the different settings depending on what kind of app you're using, what kind of content you're reading. Here's a quick look at Onyx's web browser. As far as ink web browsers go, Onyx's web browser is probably the best you're going to get. Obviously, ink, and it's going to have more refreshing. I got A2 mode enabled right here, so it's a little bit smoother as far as like scrolling and like zooming goes. You don't have the constant refreshing. But as far as the web browser goes, it is pretty decent on Onyx's devices here. With the Android operating system, you got the multi-app view. You can jump here to jump between your apps. It kind of doesn't show your Note app, which is kind of annoying. So you can add that to the navigation bar. You can move the navigation ball wherever you want it. Just sort of set it there. You don't have to use it if you don't want it. And then you got your navigation bar up here as well. Some of the stuff is redundant, but you can set, like, you have 5 options with the navigation bar. You can set different things to use. You got the A2 mode option up here. This button disables the capacitive touchscreen, so your capacitive touch is disabled. You got the Frontlit adjustment up there as well, and the quick settings. If you tap on the Wi-Fi icon, you can easily turn Wi-Fi on and off by doing that. You've got the different sections listed over here on the left. So like they got this Chinese ebook store that got disabled. You got your note section, your storage section. So it's got like a basic file manager in here. You can move stuff around. And then you got your app drawer, of course. Like I said, you can enable Google Play, but I don't have it enabled. And you can also sideload apps as well. So this has just sort of been a quick look at the Nova Pro in action. Here it is next to an iPad with full brightness next to a window. As you can see, ink. You don't have that reflectivity. Even with the glass screen, people are always wondering if the glass screen is more reflective, but it is not because you still have the ink. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video right here. Check out the ebookreader.com for more details. Thanks for watching. Bye.